Hey, what's up, guys? You're listening to the Airtime Misfits podcast, episode 21. I'm your host, Adam, alongside Nick.
Hey.
And we have a great episode for you today. Not really that great because it's about an amusement park closing, which is always a huge bummer. And that park is California's Great America.
And we're going to be talking about where we think a lot of these soon-to-be defunct attractions are going to go, whether that's the trash heap or a different park.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things about this park closing is kind of guessing where things are going to end up. So stick around and we'll get into all of that. Stay tuned.
So, Marriott's Great America, as it was once known, opened in March of 1976.
Like the hotel chain.
Like the hotel chain.
That's right.
Yeah. So they opened one park in Santa Clara, California, so near San Jose.
Yep.
Bay Area, and then they also opened one in Gurnee, Illinois, near Chicago.
Yeah.
All at the same time. But it wasn't long after that, 1992, so, a good maybe 20 years, that Paramount came and bought the park and operated it until 2006. And then, as we know, Cedar Fair purchased it and has run it to this day.
Yeah, yep. And it's been a good run with Cedar Fair, I think. They've invested some money into the park. And it seemed like, obviously it's great for Cedar Fair to have a park in that region of the country.
Right.
But then as the years went on, the 49ers built a stadium nearby.
Yep.
And then there was some dispute between parking and, like, when can the stadium use the parking lot? When can the park use the parking lot? And then eventually, I think that got worked out. But anyways, it just ended up being that the land was more valuable than the park was to Cedar Fair. So they up and sold it.
Yep.
With no warning.
Yeah, really no warning. But they did go ahead and say that we're going to wait 11 years.
Well, up to 11 years.
Up to 11 years,
yeah.
Yes.
So what happened was they sold the land. I forget the total amount. It was... was it $500 million?
Yeah, it was $500 million, I think.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And so they sold the land. So I think as of now, or very soon, they no longer own the land that the park sits on. So what they did is they signed a lease for up to 11 years to operate the park.
And they probably have the goal or intent to not be in that lease for that long.
That'd be my guess.
Because they're going to quickly burn through that money. But I do think, with that being said, we could see as soon as this off season, some coasters start making it to other parks or other parks in the chain.
Yeah, I think likely what will happen is this will be more of a Giaga Lake route where I expect the dry side of the park to close sooner than the water park.
Yes.
But I think we'll start to see some rides being removed, some coasters being removed, hopefully, flat rides. And then until I kind of feel like there's no chance that this park stays open for another 10 years.
No, I can't see that. And I was at the park back in 2019, first and only time I've been, and it felt like, it felt like it was at the end of its operating life. Like, it just had that parking lot park feel. It's just a real kind of, I don't want to say janky because it's Cedar Fair, and Cedar Fair does really good with every park they do.
Yeah.
But
did it feel like it was disconnected from the chain, sort of?
So much.
Like it had no personality, sort of?
Yeah, and it's right off a highway, which no big deal, but then to have it attached to Levi's Stadium, essentially, it's really odd. And the park itself is, noise pollution from the highway mixed with just the overall view of the park being polluted by a big stadium and a big parking lot. It's a unique park, I will say, but probably not for all the right reasons.
Right. And I have not had the chance to visit this park yet. I'm hoping to before they go out of business. So sometime in the next couple of years, I'm going to try to get up there. But my impressions of the park are, I always thought it looked pretty nice, but it didn't seem like it had a lot of character.
Yeah.
And it does have some coasters that I'd be curious to ride, like Gold Striker, which Cedar Fair did put in, and Railblazer, which I've been on a clone of that at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. And so it has some good coasters there. I mean, it is unfortunate that the park is closing, and I'm sure locals in the area who have been going to the park since its beginning, or all the way since the 90s, are probably pretty bummed.
Yeah.
Looking at the coasters, I know when the park opened, I think the Demon was one of the first coasters open with the park.
Yeah.
They have the other wooden coaster there. Is it Grizzly?
Grizzly, yep.
Which is a clone of the one at
King's Dominion.
Right.
Yep.
I think that one was original to the park.
It was, that one would have been actually, let's see here, 86.
Okay, so it wasn't then.
Right, it was 10 years after it opened.
Yeah, so there is a lot of history there, and I'm hoping that with the park being closed that they'll be able to save some of the more historical or iconic rides, and that they'll get to live on elsewhere, whether within the Cedar Fair chain or if they sell them off to another park.
Yeah. I see Cedar Fair being as greedy about this deal as possible, in that they're going to keep as many things as they can within the chain and just recycle.
Yeah.
I do see some potential to, because obviously with the two Great Americas, one became a Cedar Fair park, the other became Six Flags. And so I could see, like, if they scrap Demon, probably sending parts of the California Demon to the Illinois Demon. There's always the possibility of that kind of thing happening.
And that's an interesting comparison, too, that you bring up, that Cedar Fair purchased one of the Marriott parks and then Six Flags bought the other one. And just kind of comparing the way that they kind of like blossomed over the last couple of decades, because I would say Six Flags has probably done a better job.
They really have. I mean, Six Flags Great America is undoubtedly probably a top 3 park in the chain.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I think that park, they've always kind of been known to get... It's kind of been a testing ground for Six Flags. Like, I believe they had the first RMC within the Six Flags chain. No, that was
New Texas Giant.
Yeah. So... the first ground up RMC.
Yes. Yeah, they did have that.
The first wing coaster within the chain. So, and even Raging Bull, I think that was one of the early hyper coasters by B&M. So, and then obviously the first invert with Batman, the first stand up with Iron Wolf. So, I think Six Flags really invested a lot into that park, whereas Cedar Fair did, but they never really... I would say it was always the kind of bottom tier of the Cedar Fair parks.
Yeah, it really was. And it was really kind of overshadowed. It's in the opposite end of the state, but Knott's has always been kind of the California Cedar Fair parks. It's always been kind of the more desirable one.
I think so, yeah.
Actually, I take that back. Gilroy Gardens, obviously, is probably the top of that.
Right. I always forget about that park.
I do, too. It's like an onion logo.
Anyway, it is. It's garlic.
Yeah, garlic. Yeah, that's right.
Because I think they're known for garlic in the area.
That's right. Of course, naturally, yeah. I mean, I guess we're going to just kind of get into a little bit of our theories, just based on the different needs within the Cedar Fair chain. Obviously, we have a lot of neglected parks within the Cedar Fair chain, such as Adams Home, Michigan's Adventure.
That's right, yeah.
You got Worlds of Fun and Valley Fair and Dorney Park that have not had new coasters in almost, it feels like 20
decade,
years.
Or more.
So just going down the list here, as I mentioned, we really feel like Demon probably is going to see its demise.
Probably, which is unfortunate.
It's very unfortunate. I enjoy Demon. We were actually just talking about how much we loved the Demon experience. I've ridden both. Just the theming, it's really nostalgic. They've really kept a lot of that kind of 80s charm to it.
Yeah, and I think they have recently kind of brought back the theming in the tunnel that you go in when you leave the station. One of the parks did. I can't remember if it was Six Flags or Cedar Fair, or maybe it was both, but it would be nice to see that coaster live on. I doubt it that it will.
I doubt it.
I want to say that it's a Ace Coaster landmark, but I'm not positive. That matters, as we saw with Conneaut Lake and the Blue Streak. But
exactly. Unfortunately, it probably isn't. gonna mean that it'll keep operating.
Right.
But you think about like Vortex and all these kind of aero, aero loopers that for one reason or another, it's like you can either move it or just scrap it.
Yeah, because for as much as I would like Demon to be saved, it doesn't seem very realistic for Cedar Fair to move a coaster from the 80s or however old it is,
76, so
76 to another park. Like, I just can't see them doing that.
No.
So I would say probably most likely the coaster will be scrapped, and then the trains or the parts of the trains will be sent around to the other parks within the chain that have aero coasters.
I could see that. And the other thing is, if Six Flags in, Great America has some, lucrative offer to say, hey, if you work with us, like, we'll take the parts or whatever,
Yeah.
I could see that happening potentially.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we think Demon is probably at the end of its life.
Yeah, I think so. Most likely.
Yeah, and so next on our list is Flight Deck, which I really enjoyed. And a lot of people seem to really like the uniqueness of it. It's a really weird layout. I know that back half, especially as you come back to the station, is really kind of catches you by surprise. It's a great coaster. I mean, the only B&M we have seen, at least in America, ever get scrapped is Dueling Dragons or Dragon Challenge.
Yeah.
So I would be highly shocked if this got scrapped.
Right.
I could see it easily going to another park and having a great life.
Yeah.
You think about parks that don't have inverts. Well, now you have King's Dominion, right? And we were looking at a layout of the map, and this was definitely a custom-built coaster.
Yeah.
And in the middle of the layout, kind of in the infield, there's a big hole, and we were like, oh, that'd be kind of cool if they put a volcano in it, and they could make like a volcano-themed coaster.
Yeah, they could. Yeah,
I think it would be cool.
I'd like to see it live on. And like, there's parks like Michigan's Adventure that has an invert, which happens to be like a SLC.
But it's a fun one.
Yeah, it is a fun one.
Yeah.
But they could always use a second invert, a B&M invert.
Yeah, go the Laurent route and get two inverts. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you could do that. I mean, obviously, Dorney, you've got a knockout. In my opinion, it's a knockout invert with Talon. It's so good.
Oh, yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So I don't see it obviously going there.
Worlds of Fair has Patriot.
Worlds of Fun has Patriot.
Yeah,
another
not Worlds
great...
of Fair. Worlds of Fun.
Worlds of Fair.
Yeah.
Worlds of Fair, yeah.
Valley Fair.
Valley Fair. Yeah, that one could use it.
Yeah.
Their only invert is Possessed, or Steel Venom,
yeah.
I guess. Whatever. They're all the same. The Impulse one. So I could see it going there, potentially. We do know, though, that if you look at the layout of the coaster, wherever it goes, it's going to need ample room because it's kind of built to fit the corner of the park. Like, it's kind of shaped like an L in a way.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see it if they move it, how the new park can make it feel like it fits in with the park.
Yeah.
Because it is built specifically for Great America. And so, yeah. It's possible, and I hope that they save it.
Yeah, I really hope so. Because that would really be a shame to see that go. I would put it on the same level as like Afterburn at Carowinds. Just really good ride. Inverts tend to be a dime a dozen, but it's still a really fun one, and I'd love to see it continue on in the park.
Yeah.
So the next two we have here are both Woodies, and you got Gold Striker, which is the newer of the two Woodies at that park, but I mean, you've only seen Woodies be successfully moved and rebuilt just a small handful of times.
And nothing recently that I can think of. Some that come to mind would be Phoenix at Knoebels and also Twister at Knoebels.
Yep.
And I think that was a pretty big undertaking, obviously. Yes. But with something like Gold Striker, it seems like it would be just like a monumental overtaking. Yeah. So like it seems like it would almost cost as much just to build a new coaster ground up than it would be to try to move Gold Striker and take it down carefully and then rebuild it.
Oh yeah, that's the thing is like obviously with it being wood, the track is going to be brittle because it's of its wear and just over time So it's almost, like you were saying, it's almost cheaper to go buy new Southern Yellow Pine and build something else entirely, as opposed to try and move it. Which is a shame, because Cedar Fair did build this coaster. and it was a very good fit for the park. It is a fun ride. It's a little rough, and I'd say the pacing's probably a little too quick for the speed it does.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a decent ride, and it deserves life. But I just don't see Cedar Fair taking on the challenge of moving it.
Right. Yeah. I think most likely, sadly, that will probably get scrapped, and then they'll, use the trains at another park somewhere.
They're Millennium Flyer trains. Yeah. So they're pretty universal.
Yeah, and I know like Valley Fair has Renegade, and so maybe they could send trains there for parts or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Or Prowler at Worlds of Fun. So yeah, but and Grizzly, I mean, I don't think there's any chance.
No, the Grizzly's not even worth mentioning.
No,
it's a boring ride. It's a rough ride. It's long overdue to just get demolished anyway.
Yep.
So Lucy's Crabby Cabbies. Now this is a hot topic right here, right?
Yeah.
Lucy's Crabby Cabbies has so many possibilities.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just this thing is just.
Oh yeah,
it's
I mean, everyone's been talking about it.
Yeah,
in forums and stuff.
I'm terrified. I hope that the fate of this is nothing but good. The theming is just
unreal.
Unreal.
Like a highway theming.
Yeah,
and you're riding in a cab, and yeah, I mean,
it's got to live on.
It does.
It's got to live on, and obviously a park would really have to clear some space to accommodate it.
It would, yeah.
But I know I'd love to see it come to Cedar Point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We could use another kitty one. Absolutely.
On the boardwalk.
On the boardwalk,
or the new area there by where Wicked Twister's gone.
Yeah,
this would fit perfectly.
Oh
yeah,
this marquee attraction.
It would. But honestly, like that, I mean, they could. I mean, I'm sure every park in the chain has kiddie coasters already.
Yeah.
Could they add it to another park that needs, a second kiddie coaster or a third one? Sure. Probably won't happen.
Probably not. I see it getting scrapped ultimately.
Scrapped or sold.
To
some other park, or it could hit the fair circuit or something.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Lucy's Crabby Cabbies. We're hoping for the best here. But I just don't know. Now the other one that has a legitimate chance of getting scrapped is Patriot, which
this will be an interesting one.
Yeah, it would be only the second B&M again in America to ever get scrapped, if that is the case. It's obviously very dated.
Yeah, I can't remember the year it opened.
91, I believe.
91.
91.
Yeah, so it's one of the older B&M coasters in the United States. It opened as a stand-up coaster.
Yep.
And then recently, like 5 years ago or so, it was converted to a floorless.
Yep.
So what was it called as the stand-up coaster?
Vortex.
We
made a candle for Vortex.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Yes, we did. And now there was kind of that popular thing to do briefly to convert stand-up coasters to floorless coasters.
Yeah.
And it kind of brought new life to a dying coaster that had low ridership, which I think worked out. I don't know if it's still a popular coaster at the park, but this one's hard to say because it was built in 91.
Yeah, it's definitely aged.
So is it worth it to move it to another park and have it, stick around for another 10 years, 15 years? But at the same time, though, like a park like Michigan's Adventure, Patriot would be one of the best coasters at the park.
Oh, yeah. And, the cool thing about that is if they don't have a second train for Patriot, that's no problem because Michigan's Adventure doesn't do two trains. No,
it's one train ops.
One train ops only. Yeah, we got to keep those lines stacked.
Right. But so I think this could go one of two ways. Obviously, it could get moved to a park like Michigan's Adventure, maybe a Valley Fair, maybe a Dorney has Hydra already. Yeah. Valley Fair could use it.
Yeah, Valley Fair. Worlds of Fun, probably not. I don't see it going there.
No.
I could see Michigan's Adventure really or Valley Fair being the best options.
Yeah.
Something like this could maybe go in at like Knott's because it's small enough. Knott's is really landlocked.
Yeah.
Like they really don't have much room to work with. And I don't... Just the way that they're kind of building all these cool new coasters, I don't see them really settling for an older B&M.
Yeah, I think you almost have to send this to a park with low expectations, like a Michigan's Adventure.
Yeah.
And I would be ecstatic if it moved to my home park.
Oh.
like I said, it would be like behind Shivering Timbers, probably the best coaster at the park.
Yeah.
And but I think another very realistic possibility, though, is that the coaster gets scrapped, and I could see them moving their floorless trains to Carowinds and them converting their Vortex to a floorless coaster.
Right. And that is, I mean, those are two good possibilities. You know, they could either move the parts to Carowinds or they could relocate it.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time seeing them completely throw this coaster in the garbage because not only is it expensive, it's an expensive coaster it was expensive to build and maintain. It's a B&M, you know, but it's a reliable coaster. I mean, people say what they want about B&Ms and how they get rough over time or whatever, but you never see them have the maintenance nightmares of Intamin or, you know, all these other kind of more contemporary manufacturers.
And B&Ms, you know, even if they are rough, they're never rough like an old Aero coaster is rough or an old Vekoma coaster is rough. So, like, I feel like even old B&Ms have a lot higher re-ridership capability. So, I expect B&Ms to stick around for a while. I mean, eventually it's going to come a time where B&Ms are going to start being removed, you know, more often. You know, with Dueling Dragons being the only one, I think that was just... I don't think that coaster... I mean, that coaster could still easily be around right now.
Yeah, there was no reason for it to have gotten demolished.
They removed that, you know, because for their Harry Potter area, so they're wanting to expand that. But, yeah, I think eventually it's going to be more common that B&Ms get removed, but I don't think we're there yet.
No, I agree. And I think they would sooner get bought by overseas parks before we scrap them.
Yes, yeah.
So with that said, here's my hope. My hope is that it goes to Worlds of Fun and becomes Patriot 2, the return of the Patriot. Or the Revolution or something.
Yeah,
That'd be funny. Just have two Patriots, man.
They could. Oh, yeah. And just have them intertwined.
Yes. To have one red and one blue so that it's this Democrat Republic.
They could, yeah. Get really political. Like, They could retheme the area of that park to like some stupid political thing.
Yeah.
Perfect idea.
Yep, perfect. We're calling it now. It's going to Worlds of Fun. And then next is Psycho Mouse, and unpopular opinion, but we believe this is going to Cedar Point. And here's why. Cedar Point, they operate on like a 5-year plan, generally. And so they're currently working on the boardwalk area where Wicked Twister was. And there's been, you know, it's been how long since Steel Vengeance opened?
2018, 2017.
We're going on 5 years of no new coasters. So, you know, make no mistake, Cedar Point is not the park to take someone's sloppy seconds.
No.
But with the retheming of that boardwalk area, to have a Wild Mouse type family coaster makes sense.
Yeah, because I get the feeling, well, if you haven't, you know, seen it online, because it's kind of been on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, it appears confirmed that, and from construction you can see that Cedar Point is adding a new Grand Pavilion, restaurant, hangout spot along the beach, and it appears that I assume they're going to add a boardwalk with that, and they're going to kind of revamp the whole area from Gatekeeper all the way to Windseeker, and I imagine it's going to be kind of like a throwback vintage boardwalk vibe, which I love, and I think something like old school Wild Mouse coaster would fit perfect.
Yeah, and of all of the Wild Mouse in the world, this one was built by Aero. And there are only, 4 left in existence?
I think there's 4,
Yep. This is not a bad ride.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, Adam, you've ridden this one
there's
tons of times at Michigan's Adventure.
Yeah, Michigan's Adventure has one of the 4, and then the other one... Dorney.
And then this one at Great America. So I think those are the 3 within the chain.
Yeah, and then I can't remember where else. Maybe Carowinds. They have something. I know there's other obviously mouse coasters in the chain, but I think this one just happens to be a little bit more unique because it's one of 4,
and it's not uncomfortable. Like there's some Wild Mouse like Coast Rider, and Knott's terrible, awful. So this one isn't the worst by any means, and if Cedar Point is going to go the route of kind of a cool vintagey boardwalk theme, like it just makes sense.
Yeah, I think with new coat of paint, some new theming, nice sign, I think it could fit in with the park really well.
Yeah.
I think they might even be the only park within the Cedar Fair chain that doesn't have a Wild Mouse coaster.
Now that you say that, I think you're right. It just, Cedar Fair for a long time, I've been saying they need more family attractions. They need more, like they need a family. What they really need is a wooden family coaster. Bring in Gravity Group. But this is like a good kind of start.
It does. And they used to have a Wild Mouse coaster called Wildcat.
Yeah, yep.
And so this could be a kind of a throwback nod to that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities here to kind of make this something cool and unique and not just your standard, it's just a Wild Mouse. Like, I think it will go to Cedar Point. I hope it goes to Cedar Point, but we'll see. For all we know, it could just be in the trash.
Or go to Europe.
Or go to Europe, right, yeah, exactly, yeah. Or go to Dorney and make dueling Wild Mouse.
There you go.
Neat. Yeah. So next is Railblazer, and this is probably the most debated one right now. Obviously, newest coaster at the park. The first single rail, I believe, or maybe Wonder Woman was.
They were scheduled to open the same summer. I think Railblazer opened first, though.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
Maybe by a week or two.
Yeah, it wasn't by much, but it was the first taste of an RMC Raptor that we have had in America. And
I think this is a no-brainer that it's going to be moved somewhere within the chain.
Yeah, they're not going to scrap no, there's no way. I think it makes the most sense for this to go to Michigan's Adventure for a few reasons. Number one, Michigan's Adventure has an insane amount of unused land.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous that park doesn't wrap around in the back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They need. That's always been one of my biggest complaints is that the park is shaped like a U.
Yeah.
So to get from Shivering Timbers
to Thunderhawk,
it's just you're backtracking so much. It's annoying.
The amount of sweat and just to get to another coaster. Yeah. So this would be the perfect bridge between the two sides of the park. Put it in the back.
Yeah.
And even if they decided not to utilize that land, this is a very small layout.
Yeah.
It's a very compact coaster. It would just make sense for that type of park, which A, desperately needs something new, and B, just really could use something not just new to me, like an old B&M, but like a new coaster. That's something they don't have.
No, it would be huge for that park. It'd be a big marquee attraction for that park, and sometimes these single rails are known for having lower ridership capacity, which is not an issue with Michigan's Adventure.
No.
So I think I am very, very hopeful that it does come to Michigan's Adventure. I think it would be a great fit for the park. I think it's a toss-up between Michigan's Adventure, Dorney, Worlds of Fun, Valley Fair. Those four parks.
The only thing I could see for Dorney is if, say they knock down Possessed, like they've talked about, because they talked about doing the wooden shuttle, which it sounds like is going on at Worlds of Fun. So I could see it taking that plot of land, because it'd be about the same amount of space. So, that's a possibility. Would I like to see a coaster come to Dorney? Of course, because they really could use it too.
Yep. They're overdue.
There are really 4 parks in the chain that are just so neglected by Cedar Point, and that's Valley Fair, Worlds of Fun, Dorney, and Michigan's Adventure. Not considering Great America now. So I think that one of those 4 is going to be blessed with an RMC Raptor. Whether or not it goes to the right park, I don't know, because obviously we believe Michigan's Adventure makes the most sense. But any of those 4, it's a win for that market. Yes. They're all craving something new. So
yes.
On that note, gosh, we got Woodstock Express. This is an interesting one. It's I believe it's one of Intamin's first kiddie coasters. So I think they built Junior Gemini first.
Yeah.
And this one's a little bit bigger than Junior Gemini.
Yeah.
I actually have this credit.
Oh, okay.
My wife and I jumped on, and I don't know if we were too big or what, but we were able to get that credit. So
and this is another one that sure, you could send this to any park.
Yeah, take your pick.
Yeah, or it could just end up being scrapped or sold off.
Yeah. Something like this. Yeah. Something like this could go to, some sort of like laser tag place.
Yeah.
Or, something like that where it's
Yeah.
just easy to set up and tear down
Yep.
and whatever. So I could see it going that way, but
Sure.
ultimately we're looking out for you, Woodstock Express. We really hope the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, it sucks that a park is closing, and I feel bad for the people in the area who love this park. I would be so upset if my home park was closing.
Yeah.
But it's great news for the other parks in the Cedar Fair chain, especially if your home park is Michigan's Adventure, Valley Fair, Dorney Park, or Worlds of Fun.
Yeah.
Because I feel like these 4 parks are going to benefit the most from Great America closing.
Yes.
Because on top of the coasters, Great America does have a good collection of flat rides as well, and they have the double-decker carousel.
They do, the iconic double-decker carousel, and if they decide to scrap that, the GM of Great America is going to get hung publicly. Like, they are going to crucify the man. So, or woman. I think it's a woman.
Yeah, that needs to be saved.
Yes,
and I mean that could immediately go to another park and be like an icon of the park, you know?
And I feel like, now granted, I don't know anything about this, but I feel like it would be relatively easy to take apart and move a carousel.
I would assume so. I think it happens all the time.
Yeah, it would be easier than a wooden coaster.
Oh, yeah,
It's not nearly as much assembly required. Yeah. But they do have some really unique flat rides, and we probably all know that these are all going to go to Canada's Wonderland. They're kind of the mad science lab for flat rides of Cedar Fair. They have like a disco thing called Tiki Twirl.
Yeah, and that's another great ride to add to any park.
Yeah, any park would benefit.
Mm-hmm. And they have a Barren Curve ride.
They do.
Those are awesome classic flat rides.
Yep.
They have like a Eagle's Nest.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call their ride, but they have they have one of those. They have.
Is that the Delirium?
Yeah. But they have some that definitely are worth saving and moving.
Yes, and I really do think that Cedar Fair is going to make the most out of this situation and save as much of it as possible.
To really make the other parks blossom a bit.
Yeah.
And I think, and obviously California's Great America has a big water park, and that I think was recently remodeled, and they brought in some new water slides, so all those will get moved around, I think, and those could really go anywhere. Cedar Point, Carowinds, Knott's.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Wait, Knott's doesn't have a water park, do they? Maybe they have a separate property.
Yeah. Yep. I think they have separate. Yeah.
No, actually, no. It's in the parking lot. They do have a water park.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
okay.
So the water park rides, those could go anywhere. That's a toss-up.
Yeah.
So, again, it really sucks for locals, and it sucks to lose an amusement park, but it's good for other parks in the chain.
It is.
And I'm really going to champion Michigan's Adventure to get Railblazer, to get Patriot, to get...
Any of them. Any of them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And, the last time we saw a park close in the chain, it was my beloved Giaga Lake. Mm-hmm. And that was under different ownership at the time.
Yeah.
You had Dick Kinzel running kind of the show. And the way that he handled it was a lot more shady, I think. Like, there wasn't much warning, even though it was kind of his motive all along. Like, I'm going to buy the park and shut it down. So I like that the current management is being very open and upfront about this. They said we have up to 11 years. I definitely don't see them doing 11 years. That's a long time to kind of, drag this out. But I do appreciate that they are giving locals plenty of notice to say, hey, this is what's going on.
It's a lot better than what they did at Giaga Lake, where you had about a month.
Better. Yeah. And Giaga Lake was, it felt like overnight, essentially. Obviously Giaga Lake was able to rehome a lot of their attractions, but not nearly the amount as I believe Great America is going to be able to rehome.
Yeah, I agree. I think California's Great America has more rides and coasters that seem more realistic that they would be moved. And I know Giaga Lake, they had some good things like Dominator and Thunderhawk. Those got moved, and Possessed. Is that from
Possessed?
Giaga?
And Firehawk was X-Flight.
Yeah, so they did move a lot of stuff. So I can't remember them moving many flat rides or anything like that.
Nope. Maybe one or two. Actually, they had a top spin that went to Great America called Texas Twister, and it became Fireball, I think. But that didn't last long. So, obviously, always sad to see parks close, but it is going to be a good benefit for other smaller parks that are in need. So
yeah, it's a win for the small parks of Cedar Fair, but
yes,
obviously it sucks for
yeah.
California,
Yep.
Northern California.
Yep, Northern California. I feel for you. I've been there. Been the local that's lost his park, and I'm there for you. So
yeah,
to commemorate the loss, we are going to, in true Airtime Misfits fashion, pull up a very 80s commercial.
Yes,
And this is a good one. They have their own jingle. The kid is wearing a jersey that's not a jersey. I mean, that's so 80s. You know,
it's just like a generic jersey with a number
with the number 32 on it. Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so basically it's like your typical 80s commercial with a family at the park, all terrible haircuts, as you can imagine,
yes.
bowl cuts galore, bangs galore, and then they're just having a fun day. Let this jingle soak into your brain, and hopefully it cheers you folks up out in California. This is for you, Great America.
Hey, let's try this one. What a day. What a place. That was fun. What a smile.
Oh, that's such a cool camera.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they have an octopus ride.
Yep.
Or they did.
What a
Too soon.
place. What a smile on your face. We're merry out. Great America. Great America.
Great America, I salute you.
Great America. Absolutely. We salute you. And why a hotel chain open an amusement park is going to be the mystery of a lifetime.
Right.
So that will die. That mystery will die with the park, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll never know.
Yep.
So we'll keep our eyes on the park, and I expect within the next couple of years we're going to start seeing things be removed. My best guess is within 5 years, the dry side of the park will be closed, and the water park might operate for an additional few years after that, and then they're just going to cut their losses and
move on.
So,
and it sounds like they have a plan for the land already, so it's not going to be like Giaga Lake where the land just sits dormant for however long.
Yep.
So there won't be any insult to the injury. It sounds like
Right, where at least they have a plan in place
Yes.
for the land for whatever shopping center, mall, neighborhood that's moving in.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Check out our website at airtimemisfits.com. You can find some cool merch to buy. Buy all of it. We'd appreciate it. Find us on Instagram and Twitter at Airtime Misfits. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.
Peace.